everybody, and welcome back to She's in Business TV Live. It's been a few weeks, so I'm so excited about today's interview because this is actually one of the marketing topics that I don't know much of anything about, and so I'm really excited to learn today about how to generate leads, how to build your business, how to grow your brand through Pinterest. And I know a lot of you, if you're like me, spend a lot of time scrolling through Pinterest, but I don't really have any strategy around it. So I'm super, super excited to learn today. Today I've got with me Dominique Dunlop, and let me just tell you about her. She's a former teacher turned digital marketing obsessed Canadian mom of two, and through her done-for-you content repurposing services and Pinterest VIP days, she helps you develop a low-effort, high-traffic marketing strategy that will allow you to be everywhere that your clients are without leading to content burnout. So I love this. It's going to be a really unique perspective. We're going to roll that intro and we'll be back with Dominique. Hey Dominique, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you this morning.
Like, I am so pumped for this because I feel like this is just one of the areas that people ask me about. And I'm just like, I don't got anything. I love Pinterest, but having a strategy around it, it's just not something that I've ever even spent much time on. So I know that everybody's going to get a ton out of this in the She's in Business network. And man, I'm just so excited to have you. So tell me about how you got into Pinterest as not just a mom, because I think we're all like Pinterest moms, but have taken it a step further and made this your focus, your niche, and become such a thought leader in Pinterest strategy.
Yeah, so when I left my teaching career, I headed into the online business world, not really having a clue what I was doing. And I started a preschool blog and a preschool play-based learning program for like stay-at-home moms, essentially. And it was going okay, but the more I learned about marketing, I decided I actually like the marketing side better than the preschool creation side. So I shifted. I ended up connecting with some amazing women in the online space that coach Pinterest managers and Pinterest VAs. And I wasn't really sure if it was something I actually wanted to do or if I was still just learning more about it for my own marketing purposes. And a few months after that, I ended up making the full switch of, no, this is what I actually want to be doing and leaving the teaching portion behind me.
Yeah, I love that. So talk to me a little bit about why entrepreneurs should use Pinterest, and not just for their entertainment purposes, but why should they use this as part of their actual business and marketing strategy?
All right. So I know you said you're familiar with Pinterest, just not the strategy behind it. And that is pretty much the norm. And that was me. I honestly never really realized what went into somebody making sure that the content I search, if I'm looking for a chocolate cake recipe, it never really occurred to me to think, how did those particular chocolate cake recipes end up in front of me? And I know now that it has so much to do with whoever put that there knew exactly what I was going to need in that moment. So that's kind of the basis of Pinterest. Pinterest is a search engine. It gets lumped in with social media all the time. It'll get referred to as a social media platform. And in fairness, they have morphed a few of their features to reflect more social media, but it's a search engine, and it's so much more like Google than it is like Instagram, for example. So why we should be using it is because your audience is there, and they are there looking for what you have to offer. Specifically, they're looking for the solutions that you offer through your content and through your products and services. But as the user on the other side, we often don't realize that there are people searching for business stuff. There are people searching for sleep training. There are people searching for business coaching, fitness, like it's all there. So the way Pinterest works, it gives you the opportunity to get your content directly in front of your target audience exactly when they need you most, because they are specifically searching for that solution which means they're also more likely to convert to a client, convert to a buyer. The Pinterest audience in general is going to be easier to convert than a social media platform.
And what kind of content? Because you said, there's people searching business content, obviously food and like crafts and whatever, but sometimes people do forget that plenty of people are on there searching for whatever it is that they offer. So what kind of content would you recommend people be posting on Pinterest? What does the best? How should people be thinking about the type of content they're posting in relation to actually getting leads or brand awareness or whatever their goal is?
Yeah, so again, it comes back to the audience is problem aware. So I'm putting out content that is targeting that really problem aware audience. They know what they need, they just probably don't know the solution yet. So they're not coming searching for you. They're not typing in my name looking for me. They might type in Pinterest expert. They might type in content repurposing strategies, those kind of things. And I can provide those solutions. Now, when we think about Pinterest, one important thing to note is the biggest comment or I guess argument I get back from people when we're talking about whether Pinterest needs to be part of their strategy is I don't have time to create content for yet another platform. We're all just so content burnt out at this point. The beauty of Pinterest is you're never creating content just for Pinterest. Pinterest is your repurposing platform. Pinterest is your traffic driver. So it is your top of funnel. So if you're looking to drive traffic to a blog, you're looking to drive traffic to a podcast, YouTube channel, whatever that is, Pinterest is actually doing that marketing for you. You're not creating fresh content for the platform. So when we're thinking about what to be posting, literally anything that has a URL is what we can be posting and sharing to Pinterest. So it is blog post, YouTube channel. It could be landing pages, sales pages, freebies, opt-ins, courses that you're offering, whatever it is, you can post any of those as long as they have their own URL.
So that's really interesting because I guess I too always just kind of thought I'd have to create all this entirely new content, but it really is because it's like a search and you're almost just creating the thumbnail or whatever needs to go into it. So how does that work? Like if I have, say, a blog that I really want, to use the power of Pinterest for, like, how do I set that? Like, what things are, I guess, required to set that up where it would serve effectively as kind of a top of funnel lead or traffic generator? Like, what do I need to have in place for that?
Yeah, so the biggest thing with Pinterest is, like I said, it's a search engine and it needs to be treated as such. So before you're ever going to do anything on the platform, super important that you've done some keyword research and you know what keywords are being used by your target audience. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be using any really keywords or phrases that are really specific to your business that aren't going to be searched necessarily, or industry jargon that the problem aware client isn't actually going to know what that is. So doing that keyword research and fully optimizing your account. Now, I like to tell my clients, and this is one thing I do for them on my VIP day as well, is anywhere on the platform that allows you to incorporate text, you have to be using your heavy hitter keywords there. So that's going to be your title, right front and center, same as you would have on Instagram, kind of your name and title there. Your bio at the top of your profile, your boards need to have keywords, your pin images need to have keywords, your pin descriptions need to have keywords. And if you're really honed in and focused on those keywords, that's when you're going to start to see some success happening on Pinterest. If you skip that step, you can post as much as you want. You're not going to gain any traction.
So it's the big keywords, not the like niche keywords necessarily when you're just starting that you're wanting to focus on?
Well, really anything that somebody might search for that particular piece of content. So we do have to get into the user and the buyer's shoes a little bit. Are they going to know those terms, or is that a term that they're going to learn through our content? And it might be that maybe some people are going to search that. So I'm going to target both long tail general keywords and maybe some really specific ones if I think that might be popular. one of the things that you can do to check your keywords, this is the easiest way to do your keyword research. Go to the Pinterest search bar. That's the one we're all familiar with when we want a dinner recipe. Go up there, type in something that you think your target audience might be looking for. Pinterest is going to give you all kinds of predictive text. They'll give you predictive text in a drop-down, same as Google will. It might, depending what country you're in, give you some predictive text bubbles across the top as well. And then you'll also see all the other content that comes up when somebody searches that. So that's where I like to start, because then I can narrow it down of what are people actually searching for. And it might not be the words that I think I should be using. So I need to kind of flesh that out a little bit before I post anything. But any predictive text that Google is or Pinterest is providing to you there is terms and phrases that somebody is actively searching for.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, because I don't think, I feel like we practice this kind of like keyword stuff sometimes for the Google, for SEO, for YouTube maybe. Are we thinking along the same lines as we're doing it that way? Can we use the same keywords? Like if we have already done some of that work, can we use those same keywords on Pinterest, or do we need to have a little bit of a different approach?
Possibly. And that's just going to depend on what you've pulled out.
Yeah.
So what I would do with that is I would take your Google keywords, because that's an awesome place to start. You know that those are what's working for you in that realm. And then just start playing to make sure people are actually phrasing it exactly the same on Pinterest, because the Pinterest user is just slightly different than the Google user. On Google, I find we're a lot more likely to type in kind of a full-blown question. How do I attract more clients? How do I get more sales? Whereas on Pinterest, your audience might be more likely to type in organic lead generation or attract leads, or I find they use a bit shorter phrases. But it's important to check that so that we know what we're targeting. And there will be a lot of crossover between the two, but you might find some differences as well.
Love that. So you talked a little bit about repurposing content. Like a lot of what we teach with repurposing has to do with video. So like we take videos and we do this and we do that, and we chop it and whatever. But the kind of repurposing you're talking about really is top of funnel repurposing. And what's the step somebody would need to follow to get started doing that? Like is there a workflow that you recommend? Like how can people kind of conceptualize what that process looks like?
Sure. And there's actually kind of two parts to that question, because when we're talking about video content, it has a place on Pinterest. In the past few years, Pinterest has introduced idea pins. They were formerly called story pins, so you might still see that term floating around in the interweb somewhere. But it's the same thing. Story pins and idea pins are the same. So what these are, it's Pinterest's answer to TikTok and Instagram Reels and all that. They're just trying to keep up. So that's where you can be repurposing all that short clip video that you've got. Those can become idea pins, and you're going to optimize them for the platform by adding a keyword-rich title, a click-worthy title to them, and a pin description. And then you have the opportunity there to kind of let Pinterest know how to categorize it. It's called tags, and you can include up to 10 tags on that piece of content. So that's one way to use that video content and push it out on Pinterest. You can also drive traffic to your YouTube channel. So this process would look kind of similar, with the exception being that you're going to create static pins. That's the rectangle pins that we're all familiar with, the picture that we see when we search something that comes up in the feed. You're going to create pins for that if it's a YouTube channel. And again, keyword-rich title, keyword-rich pin description, and then you can actually link it directly to the URL for that YouTube video. So you can drive traffic directly that way. And then if we're talking about other content that's on our website, so our blog posts, our landing pages, that kind of thing, or if you've got your podcasts episodes linked on your website, that's ideal if we can drive traffic there. What you're going to do there, let's say I have a blog post about lead generation, since that's kind of what we're talking about. I've got this blog post. I want to get it out onto Pinterest. What I'm going to do is create multiple pin images for that. So that's the pin image again. And normally for my clients, I'll create anywhere between 5 and 10 per piece of content. So already I'm repurposing it 10 ways from one blog post. And then what I'm going to do is write a keyword-rich title and pin description for each of those, link to the URL. That way, when it comes up in search and somebody clicks on it, that traffic goes directly to the URL that I've put in. So my blog post or landing page, wherever I'm driving them to. So that's kind of my process, is take the content, create the images, write the titles and pin descriptions, link the URL, and then I drip them out. I'm not going to take those 10 and push them out all in the same day. Pinterest isn't going to like that. I'm going to stagger them. So over a 10-day period, I'm going to push those 10 pins. And that's absolutely fine to have that 1-day break between the URL being pushed out.
And what kind of, I guess, turnaround, like what kind of momentum would somebody expect if they're just starting out, they're following kind of that process? Like, how do they know it's working? How do they know it's not? What are like the reasonable expectations? Because I feel like anytime somebody starts a new strategy or tactic, they're like, it didn't get 1 million views in the first 5 days, so it didn't work. So what are reasonable expectations?
Yes, and that's so important to mention that right now, because Pinterest is a slow burn. It is such a slow burn, and it is a long-term marketing strategy. Yeah. If you're heading onto Pinterest hoping that you're going to have things happening in a few months, it's not going to happen. When I take on a new management client, or when I'm doing an account setup for a client, I'm very clear with them that in the first 6 months of that account being active and us continuously pinning every day, I don't expect to see a lot happening, and it's okay. We're just going to trust the system. We're going to keep going. If at the 6-month mark I see nothing is happening, we're going to have to make some strategy tweaks and see what's going on. But even at that point, it might only be a few visits to the website coming from Pinterest. It's not going to look like much. By a year, normally we're starting to see some decent traffic building. And a year and beyond, that's when we start to see the really beautiful traffic rolling in every single day. And it's organic, it's automated, and that content that I posted a year or two ago is still driving traffic to the website. One of my clients, her top performing pin is 3 years old, and it's still the one that brings the most traffic onto her website.
Yeah. I always kind of think of like, what do I wish I had started 6 months ago, right? Like when I start to think about like, do I want to put any effort into something that I know is going to be slower burn? Like, will I 6 months from now have wished I had started something today? A year from now, will I wish I had started something? Because especially with any slower strategy, which some of the best strategies just are, they're just longer game. It's, you got to think ahead. Sometimes you just got to start it and just like you said, trust the process so that it's going to pay off, but you won't know until you put it out there and you start trying and you just have the correct expectations, reasonable expectations of what you can get back so you know that it's worth it in the long run. And I think that's the power of working with people who are experienced in something that you're not. I always say, like I could learn something, sure, or I could hire somebody like you to take over my Pinterest and just know, hey, we're using best practices. I've seen this a million times. Like, I know what I'm doing. Hey, like we might have to tweak a strategy, but you're not making it up as you go along like we would be doing. And I think that that's so important, especially for the longer term strategy where you don't get, hey, I know by tomorrow if that Facebook ad's working, or I know like within a week or a month if this particular tactic is working. Having somebody who really knows the strategy backwards and forwards, to me, is the most important part of a long-term strategy. So that's kind of why I'm interested in hearing more about, especially your done-for-you services. Like, what does that look like? Because I don't know that I've ever even talked to somebody who does that, and I'm super intrigued with what your business model looks like and how you serve your clients in the short term and long term.
Yeah, so it kind of came about exactly the way you've said, that it's hard to wrap your head around and people struggle with it. But then it also means people avoid it because they don't understand it, or they jump off too soon. They're on for 2 months and they're gone because it's not working. So my lead generation VIP days, what that is I meet with you for normally about an hour and a half, a few days before your VIP day. And through your onboarding forms, through our meeting time, I get to learn your business and your business model, your ideal client, your offers, all of that inside and out to figure out what do you have going on? What can we drive some traffic to? Then what I do on the VIP day is I go in and I completely optimize your account, get it all set up to attract that ideal client that we've talked about, make sure that we've got all the keyword research done, that those heavy hitting keywords are being used really, really strategically across the account. I set up branded pin templates for you so you're ready to rock and keep everything visually appealing across your account. And then you have video training to follow that will walk you through the exact step-by-step of what do you need to do every day, every week, every month to keep this account moving. When should you be looking at analytics? What analytics matter? All of that extra back-end stuff. And then you have a month of extra support through email or Voxer with me as you get your feet wet. So at the end of the Pinterest VIP day, you have a completely ready to go account and a strategy that is ready to hand over ideally to your VA, and they can just rock and do the step-by-step that I've put in place with them. And you're not scrambling, trying to figure it out, taking another course that you might not actually finish, following this guru, following that guru, watching a YouTube video that's probably outdated. You've got everything right there and ready to go.
Love it. And so tell me, how does somebody decide if they're ready to not just move forward with like a Pinterest strategy, but to really go all in? Because to me, when you hire, like you're like, okay, I'm serious about this, I'm ready to go. Who is that person? How do they know that they're ready?
You're producing content that's valuable to your audience on a regular basis. If you are sporadically pushing out a blog once every few months and you don't have that rhythm routine built, don't get on Pinterest. We need to have some consistency happening. So really anybody who's creating content on a consistent basis that they want to increase traffic to and want to be generating organic traffic away from social media, that's who should be looking at Pinterest.
Love that. And is there anybody who shouldn't do Pinterest, like industries or like people who have certain clients? Because I feel like no matter what marketing strategy somebody's talking about, there's always people like, well, it won't work for this industry or this industry. Are there truly industries like that that it wouldn't work for?
There's some industries that you're going to have to get pretty creative how you're using it, like anything in the cannabis industry or weaponry, like kind of what Pinterest would deem inappropriate or illegal type stuff. But that doesn't mean that you can't. If you're putting out good educational blog posts around whatever that is, you will be able to utilize Pinterest. There's going to be a lot of keywords that you do need to avoid using, though. Pinterest very much prides itself on being a happy place, an inclusive environment. So you're not going to get away with anything that is divisive or considered offensive. Like it's kind of a play nice, be nice platform. Yeah. And so those industries are going to struggle a little bit. Anybody in the health industry can do extremely well on Pinterest, but you have to be careful on what your approach is. Because if your approach is just like quick and dirty weight loss and binge diet and fad diet, that's not going to fly. If you're focused in on healthy weight loss, healthy lifestyle, sustainable health, those kind of things, you're going to flourish on Pinterest. So it's not so much which industries can't use Pinterest. It's how do you need to spin your content to actually work on the platform. And it is a feel-good platform. So if you keep that in mind with your content, that's going to be a really good guiding principle for you.
Don't mess up my Pinterest nightly search with bad vibes. That's all I have to say.
Exactly. People head to Pinterest to get away from social media. Yeah. Social media is so loud, social media is so unpredictable what's going to come up in your feed. You never know what's coming up when you start scrolling. But Pinterest, the user has complete control over what's coming up in their feed. And Pinterest learns your behaviors real quick. If you're constantly looking at cute dog stuff, Pinterest is going to fill your feed with cute dogs because it's going to give you more of what you already want.
More cute dogs, yes. I think that's my biggest board. Dogs. So tell me, if somebody, I always ask kind of like, if somebody just wanted to get their feet wet with Pinterest and, you know, they didn't have big expectations, but they were like, okay, let me just check it out and see if this is a place I want to be as far as, you know, starting to post business related content that might drive some traffic or leads. What would you suggest they start with? If they could just kind of do one quick action that would actually, you know, get them the taste of like, okay, yeah, maybe this is a good fit. What would you want them to do?
Get started. Like you said, you know, what am I going to regret 6 months, a year from now? What am I going to regret not starting? Get started and do some research as you're getting started. Don't wait for perfection before you ever even open that business account. Get started. Start poking around in the account. You know, I talked about keyword research being the utmost thing that you can do. Start there. Start with your keyword research. See what others in your industry are doing. See what your current target audience is doing on the platform and get to know what's happening a little bit. From there, once you've got those keywords, then go into, like I said, every surface on Pinterest that allows text and write it. You always need to write your text in a person first format. We're not keyword stuffing, but in a very conversational person first format using those keywords. And just get those keywords onto your platform. And then from there, start publishing some content. So look at what do you already have in your content library, your content bank, your past content. What do you have that you could be utilizing here? Do you have blog posts? Do you have podcast episodes? You don't have to be creating something new to start something new on Pinterest.
I love it. Just get started. Always the best advice in business. You can't do it. You can't find out. You can't get better. You can't see if it works unless you actually try. So it's always better to get going on it, even if it's just little bit by little bit. And always better done than perfect. So I'm with you there. So Dominique, tell me and everybody how they can follow you, engage in what you're doing. What's your Pinterest? Can they come check it out? Give us the lowdown of how people can get in touch and connected with you.
All right. Well, I will give you the caveat that my Pinterest account is just like any other social media manager's account, that mine gets severely neglected. So you are welcome to come and find me. Absolutely. You are welcome to come and find me there. You will find that sometimes on my account, I'm maybe not following best practices. And sometimes that's because I'm experimenting with things. So please do come follow me, come connect with me there. But this is definitely a do as I say, not as I do kind of thing if you're going to connect with me on Pinterest. Yeah. I'm fairly active on Instagram, and my handle is just Dominique Dunlop _. I'm on TikTok as well. And if you really want to just kind of get started, get your feet wet, start thrashing around a little bit, there is I think it's called a Pinterest Kickstarter pack on my website. And it's I want to say $27 for a complete checklist of do this, do that. It includes Canva templates, the whole deal to get you started. So that might be a first stepping stone if you're just kind of curious how to make it work. So yeah, I would love to connect with you. I also have a free guide to creating a month of content from one podcast episode, which I'm happy to share with you as well. It's also on my website. You can grab it there. And I would love if you would pop in on any of my platforms and say hi and let me know how we've connected. And LinkedIn as well. I'm out there. So
I love LinkedIn. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Well, Dominique, I loved this talk. Thank you so much for coming and sharing these words of wisdom and these gems. I'm my brain is going okay, Pinterest, 2023. I'm going to do Pinterest because I love it so much. I just, like, I don't know why I haven't started. So this has been a huge motivator for me, and I'm sure for so many people in the audience. And yeah, I always love long-term strategies. I love just kind of putting in the work and like seeing what happens a year from now. I love that kind of stuff. It's like magic. So
For sure.
thank you for sharing those insights with me. And everybody go follow Dominique, go Instagram, LinkedIn, all of the different things, go connect with her. And she's got that cool Kickstart guide on her website. We'll link everything in the description so you guys can quickly go check it out. And if you have any questions wherever you're tuning in, feel free to comment below, and we'll tag Dominique in if there's anything that she can circle back and answer, and any insights that might be helpful as you watch this and as you're learning. I know you're all taking notes. So Dominique, thank you again for coming, and we hope you'll come back.
Well, thank you so much. That was a great conversation.
Great. Thanks so much. And guys, we will see you on the next one. See you soon.